It's a clash of titans in this rapid game as the legendary Alexander Grischuk, with the white pieces, takes on the former world champion Viswanathan Anand. We open with a Queen's Indian defense. White grabs space in the center, and black develops classically, fianchettoing the light-squared bishop to b7 to control the long diagonal. A standard, solid opening from both players. The central pawn structure quickly takes shape. After an exchange on d5, the position opens up slightly. Both sides continue to bring their pieces into the game, with black challenging white's central control by pushing the c-pawn. The kings are tucked away to safety, with both sides castling. The major pieces are developed to key files, with white's rook on d1 eyeing the center and black's queen shifting to b8, preparing for queenside action. Grischuk strikes in the center with the pawn pushed to e4, looking to break things open. Anand accepts the challenge, trading pawns and developing his bishop to d6. After white secures the kingside, Anand launches his own counterplay, pushing the b-pawn to b5. Anand's queenside expansion continues with the pawn marching to b4. This forces a series of trades, liquidating the tension and creating an open b-file for black's pieces to use, and here Anand plays a small inaccuracy, ceding some control. Instead of this move, there was a more active way to keep the balance. Knight to e5, king to g2, rook to c8, bishop to f2, pawn to h6. But in the game, Anand pushes the pawn to a5, a solid move, but one that gives white a slight comfortable edge. Grischuk improves his bishop's position, bringing it to the powerful d3 square, while Anand brings his rook over to the newly opened c-file. And here comes a fantastic move from Grischuk, bishop to b5, a brilliant piece sacrifice. The idea is to deflect black's defenders and then invade with the knights, creating overwhelming pressure on the queenside. Anand calmly assesses the situation, taking the knight on c3 and forcing white to recapture with the pawn. He then repositions his own knight to c5, and after a rook lift from white, brings his queen to c7 to defend. Grischuk keeps the pressure on with queen to a2, targeting black's queenside weaknesses. But now Anand makes a second slip. This move looks natural, but it gives Grischuk a concrete opportunity to seize the advantage. The better try was pawn to a4. Then, after pawn to c4, pawn to h6, rook to a1, and knight to d7, the position remains level. Instead, though, Anand plays queen to e5, and this walks right into a tactic that allows white to win a pawn, and Grischuk sees it immediately. Bishop to f4, hitting the queen and setting up a winning sequence. But look at this incredible resource from Anand. Queen to h5, a fantastic find, and the only move that keeps him in the game. The point is this: queen to e2, knight to e8, queen to e1, pawn to h6. Now it's Grischuk's turn to make a mistake. He has a clear advantage here, but he misses the best continuation and lets it slip away completely. The correct move was bishop to e2. Then, after pawn to a4, queen to b2, pawn to h6, and pawn to c4, white maintains a solid advantage. But in the game, Grischuk plays rook to f1, and this inaccuracy allows Anand to launch a devastating counterattack. Anand immediately punishes the mistake, striking with pawn to e5. Grischuk responds with pawn to g4, and suddenly the board is on fire. And here it is. Knight takes g4. A brilliant sacrifice from Anand, smashing open the defenses around the white king. Grischuk finds the only move. The excellent pawn takes knight on g4. In this tactical storm, anything else would lose on the spot. Anand continues with perfect precision. Queen takes pawn on g4 with check, the only move to keep his winning attack going. Wow, a brilliant move from Grischuk, bishop to g3, a stunning counter-sacrifice to block the check and fight back. And here is the idea. If black grabs the pawn on e4, white plays knight to f3. Then, after queen to e3 check, the queen blocks on f2, and white is still in the game. The fireworks continue. Anand captures the knight on d4, and Grischuk gives a spite check on f7. The king steps aside, and after a rook lift from white, black's queen delivers a check of its own from d1. And this is the final decisive mistake of the game. Grischuk has to be incredibly precise to survive, but this move lets the win slip through his fingers. The only chance was rook to f1, after queen to g4, rook to f4, queen to g5, and rook takes pawn on a5. White could fight on by winning a pawn back. But instead, he plays bishop to f1, and this allows black's passed pawn to become an unstoppable monster. Anand immediately plays pawn takes pawn on c3, and this passed pawn will now decide the game. Grischuk captures the pawn on a5, but it's too little, too late. This just makes black's task easier. Anand creates an escape square for his king with pawn to h6, while Grischuk's rook swings to h4 looking for desperate counterplay. Black's queen checks on d4, a great defensive try from Grischuk. Bishop to f2 was the only move to avoid being checkmated immediately, and now a brilliant strike from Anand, queen to d7, a stunning queen sacrifice to liquidate into a trivially winning endgame. White has no choice but to accept the sacrifice, and the queen is captured on d7. And the great follow-up, knight takes queen on d7. This is the whole point, simplifying the position and leaving black completely dominant. Now begins the final conversion. The rooks are traded on a8, and Anand's passed c-pawn marches to c2. White's bishop tries to block, but black's rook swings to b8 to support its advance. The last few moves are played out. White tries a desperate pawn push, but black's rook invades on b1, the rook on a4 is helpless, and the bishop on d5 seals the deal. And here, Grischuk resigns. Black wins the game after a spectacular tactical battle. The passed c-pawn is simply unstoppable, and here's what White saw was coming. Even after bishop to a3, the pawn promotes on c1 to a new rook. The bishop takes it, the rook recaptures, and after the king moves, there is no stopping black's material advantage from deciding the game.